Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? In this video, I'm gonna explore an actual flint mine. This is not so much a quarry as it is a mine into the side of a mountain. Now this place is pretty special, pretty interesting. There's lots of glacial erratics like this one that I'm sitting on. So what I'm doing is just exploring and trying to get a feel and understanding of these ancient locations where ancient people found their toolstones, and to try to get an idea of how they acquired in this case it's a rhyolite, but I'm just going to call it flint because that's what most people understand as a nappable material. So it's not at the top of the mountain. It's actually straight into the side of a mountain. And you cannot see any of this material from the top of the mountain. It just looks like granite to me. I'll just let you guys get a feel of this place. It wouldn't have changed much in the past 10,000 years besides that city down there, that little town, little city. The river was probably flowing a lot more at the base of this mountain. After stopping for that view, I'm going to go try to explore the actual mine itself. Now, from what I know about this place, there are no artifacts here, and there is no flint left. Everything was taken by ancient people, and taken with them. They did not leave any tools. They did not leave any artifacts in the cave, and they left no flint. They took all of it. You could see the little scattered remains of what's left, but it's nothing that anybody could use. But it is still really, really cool to see this location. And for me, this is probably one of the most important historical sites in the Northeast, just because of how extensive this mining was. Right here is the mine entrance, and you could see that there's a boulder holding the entrance up. And inside you could see traces of the rhyolite, of what's left of it. And you could see where, I'm going to call them stone mauls, large rock hammers were hitting the inside of this cavern. And you can see they left a support structure up right in the middle here, and then quarried straight up out the top, right above this. This is what's holding the whole cave up. And this is one of the more interesting places that I have been to. It had a very strong energy to it. A very interesting energy to this whole area. The rhyolite would have been like a blue-orange, from what I know. I'm gonna splice in uh, an artifact here of this made from this material that is now long gone. And if you think about doing this with Stone Age tools, this must have been quite an extensive project for these people over a couple thousand years of getting into this side of this mountain, probably with antler and stone tools. That's really crazy to think about, and to see that they had the know-how to leave a support beam right in the front is pretty interesting, and leads me to believe that they were fairly experienced in doing such things. Although this is the only one that I believe has been found in the Northeast here. And I'm just studying the rock here, seeing where they were striking and what kind of tools they might have been using.
You see it? There's a little bit there.
To make this mine. And at the top, I could see that they were hitting with a large hammer, a large stone hammer. And they left that little bit of flint right there as the support beam. And that is, as you can see, it's all weathered and freeze-cracked, and
it's just they said they stopped.
There's not much left of it.
Precarious. I see what happened. I can see why they stopped using it. I can see why they stopped using it.
Why?
I did sit in this cave for quite a while, just contemplating and listening to the sounds. The sounds themselves were pretty amazing. The acoustics of the inside of this mine, the way the sounds from the outside of the cave coming in sounded really interesting, and there was a lot of water dripping, and the wind coming in was making a howling that I thought was really cool. To me, it looked like they were taking these out in bricks, almost bricks. But artifacts made from this material have been found all over the Northeast, and it was widely used material. It must have been really good to exhaust it, like there's nothing left. Which is pretty amazing to me. They took the entire resource and used all of it. Now, they wouldn't have just been making spear points from this. They also would have been making their cutting tools, their knives, their scrapers for scraping hides, along with any other drill tool that they might have needed, or any number of things. So you could imagine how important this mine was to people if this was where they got their tools to be able to survive. So this place must be really special, really almost magical. I know it is to me. You could see in this shot that they came in through the wall and then mined back out right through the roof. And the mine itself is right at the top in the side where I'm zooming here. And that's where we just were. And I just wanted to share this location with you. I thought you would appreciate seeing another ancient spot in America. And the other spot that I wanted to check out, but we weren't able to on this trip, is Mount Washington, right there in the background, covered in snow. But we went to a campsite that actually had a fairly large creek running through it. There is a lot of quartzite, which is usable. You can use quartzite for knapping, and that in Vermont and New Hampshire, there appears to be a lot of quartzite in these creeks. So if you're looking for material to knap in Vermont and New Hampshire, you're going to be looking for quartzite. And to be able to identify quartzite, I have another video called No Flint, No Problem on my playlists, and you're going to want to check that out to be able to see what these quartzite and quartz materials look like in creeks and oceanside even. And the water is extremely clear up here, clear and blue tinted. Inside this creek was quartzite and quartz by large amounts. And when I'm investigating these creeks and rivers, I usually go in them with rubber boots, but I forgot my rubber boots, so I just went into the freezing cold water in my shorts. That was some pain. I'm here at Morrow Mountain State Park. The land and waters of Morrow Mountain have been a focal point of human activity for thousands of years. Discover our rich natural and cultural history. This is a protected archaeological site. Apparently a very important one. I'm at Morrow Mountain State Park, and there's a little museum here. It's about 94 degrees. It's really hot today. And the lizards are seeking shade. There's one right there. Right here is Morrow Mountain. And I've been camping somewhere in there. At least 10,000 years ago, American Indians discovered abundant resources in the Quarries Mountains. Trekking herds and hunting large game, these early North Carolinians found the local rock known as rhyolite was perfect for crafting tools and spear points. Their way of life changed, and small game hunting and fishing led to more sophisticated tool making. Points and spearheads made from Morrow Mountain rhyolite have appeared up and down the east coast, indicating this area was a major contributor to regional American Indian culture. Remnants of this sharp stone remain today at the prehistoric quarry at the top of Morrow Mountain. This is rhyolite here. You could see it's smooth. It's better for making tools than this would have been. This is coarse, so you want to look for the smooth stuff. Rhyolite was formed hundreds of millions of years ago by a thick magma that cooled and hardened. Once buried as a result of movements in the Earth's crust, it was exposed by erosion over hundreds of millions of years. Some displays here. Let's see what they got. It says flint knapping is the name of the process for making flaked or chipped stone tools. This technology was used to create spear, dart points, arrowheads, knives, scrapers, blades, and other useful items. The best rock for making tool is somewhat brittle and uniform in texture and structure like the rhyolite found on Morrow Mountain. Rhyolite, when struck with a rock, piece of antler, or bone, will fracture or break in a characteristic pattern called a conchoidal fracture. This rock fragment is called a flake. The making of a stone tool begins with a piece of raw material called a core. Flakes are removed by striking the edge of the core with a sharp, forceful blow in what is called percussion flaking. Hard hammer stones of basalt or soft hammers made out of an antler were used to create the flakes. A stone flake has features that identify it as a work of human hands rather than the result of a natural process. The edges being worked must be ground dull with a piece of sandstone rock prior to flake removal. This is the dulling that helps prevent edge collapse. Soft hammers were used because they allow greater control of the flaking. Soft hammers do not pass as much energy to the core and will absorb some of the force. Not all the time, sometimes it explodes in your hand. The napper applies downward and outward pressure to snap off a flake. This method can straighten and sharpen the edges of a finished tool or shape a tool from flake to final form. So, spall, edged piece, preform, final arrowhead or spear point. They got more, this is Paleo-Indian era. So, these are the foreshafts with the spearheads on them. That black stuff is pine pitch wrapped with probably deer sinew. And the scrapers and side scrapers were mostly used to scrape flesh from hides. Side scrapers were used for a variety of purposes, including skinning, scraping, and cutting of meat and skin. They were also used in bone and woodworking. Scrapers were often crude but effective tools. The term paleo means old or ancient. It is used to refer to the first people that came to this area at least 12,000 years ago. Paleo-Indians lived in an environment that was much different than that of today. The weather was cooler and large animals such as mastodons, mammoths, ground sloths, giant bison roamed the forest and grasslands. Smaller mammals such as buffalo, bear, moose, elk also lived in the area but are now extinct here. Not too far away at Cherokee Forest, they reintroduced elk. Paleo-Indians used heavy spears to hunt large prey such as mastodon and giant bison. Smaller animals were also hunted. Paleo-Indians gathered nuts, berries, and other plants for food. They moved often to take advantage of seasonal sources of food, much like their descendants during the archaic period that followed. Relatively little is known about these first people of North Carolina, as artifacts from this period are scarce. Their nomadic way of life and small populations made it difficult to find sites they once occupied and to find artifacts associated with them. And this is more spear points. It's going to be difficult to see. That's a really well polished silt. It's pretty much an axe. This would have been an arrow, but an incredibly short one. Take a little look down the trail here. It's a good place to come and look and learn, and as you can see, that's all rhyolite. But you're not allowed to pick up or take anything from any state parks. But it's really cool to look at. It's a really beautiful place. Just have to look out for rattlesnakes. I like to rest in the sun on trails like this. This is an archaeological site and it is protected. It is against the law to pick up any rock, any mineral, or anything like any of this. Would be completely unethical to touch any of it, because this is what ancient people worked with, and it has not all been studied. There is more to learn. People don't realize that there is more to learn. In North Carolina here, not much is known about the Paleo-Indian period. And I could guarantee you that if an archaeologist came here and did a study, that they would find evidence. I've had people say to me that there's nothing left to be learned by archaeologists. And looking at all this, I would have to say I completely disagree with you. And I'm glad this place is protected. people for thousands of years sitting here quarrying this stuff. So cool. Walking on history here. So I came to Meadowcroft Rockshelter in Pennsylvania, and it said it's only open Saturday and Sunday, but they just happened to be doing one tour today, so I'm able to get in, and I'm kind of excited. I've been wanting to come here, and they kind of told us to avoid the school groups, so I'm trying to. And I'm heading up towards 1770s cabin. Just killing time for about an hour, maybe about 40 minutes now, and then we're going over to the rock shelter. Grounds here are pretty cool. They got a little atlatl spear throwing event with little kids throwing the spear at elk. Yeah, an elk decoy. They also have like showing off furs to the kids and a couple little wigwams, but I didn't really see too much over that way because there was so much going on with the kids, and they kind of told me to avoid the school groups. So came over to here in this little picnic area with a cool oven over there, and we're just hanging out.
Hey. I also have the farm implement museum with old wagons. That was cool.
I don't know what that sound means. What am I supposed to do? Is it lunchtime? It sounds like lunchtime. I hear the kids screaming. So I'm assuming during the busy season that they have a lot more actors walking around and playing parts of like farmers or blacksmiths or...
Do they have that at all?
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming it should. I saw some pictures of people dressed in, early colonial. But it's not open. It's not open today. I just happened to get lucky and be able to get in on one tour of the rock shelter. So we're about to go into the rock shelter. I don't know if I'll be able to record in here, so I'll record a little bit on the outside. But right up there is the entrance into the rock shelter.
It's nice and cool in here. Look how cool it is. Okay.
Interesting. There's little archaeology bags there. So I guess they're not excavating anymore.
He's screaming up there. There's Leia.
Okay.
We just left Meadowcroft Rockshelter, and it was a little weird coincidence. We just happened to get there, and it was closed, but there was school groups going through that were in there, and there was one other couple that had a tour today. And I got there just in time that they allowed me in. I did get a little bit of video, and the tour guide, and her name was Sheila, was really amazing. She's been working there for 35 years, and she knew a lot of information. And I talked to her a little bit about different things about the site, about the museum that I volunteered at, and she wanted me to get in touch with the director to see if I could possibly do some flint knapping demonstrations at the rock shelter, which would be really cool. Walking down this trail along Cross Creek Lake. Now, Cross Creek runs right past Meadowcroft Rockshelter, so we just followed it down to this park. Meadowcroft Rockshelter is a cave, kind of. It's an overhang that collapsed over the years, and in that cave is different levels of different time periods of people living there that go back as far as, what was the date? 12,500?
Yeah, they dug as deep as 16,000.
They dug as deep as 16,000 years ago, and the earliest human occupation that they found was 12,500, I believe.
All the way up to present evidence of
All the way up to
human use.
beer cans in a fire pit.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting to be able to see that. I tried last year and it was closed and they wouldn't let me in. This year, for whatever reason, they're like, yeah, come right in. And they were all awesome. Awesome people, friendly people. It's the longest spanning occupation of a site. So meaning from 12,500 years ago, non-stop up to today. With the exception of now it's a museum. So there aren't people camping there anymore. But up to not too long ago, there's been people camping there for 12,500 years at least. Which is pretty amazing. In one spot, one campsite. So that site was discovered by a groundhog. Apparently in the hole that it dug up, the person who, I guess he owned the land?
Yep.
The person who owned the land, so, the landowner found a groundhog hole, and in the dirt from the hole that it pulled out was chips of flint. So, long story short, it took him 18 years to find an archaeologist that would dig out the site that that a groundhog discovered for him. So he didn't want to tell anybody about the site because he was afraid people would come in. I'm sliding down this hill and loot it and destroy, as he said, pages of history and not be able to get them back. So he didn't tell anybody about this site for 18 years until he found an archaeologist who would be willing to come and do it correctly. I just thought it was really amazing. So this is pretty cool. There's a big lake here. The point that they found was only about this big. And I saw that it had hit something and fractured, and they resharpened to fix it. That point was 12,500 years old, which would be the oldest point on the east coast here. And that was, it was at a very bottom layer of this cave. Now, they named the point after the guy who discovered the site from investigating the groundhog hole. Miller. His name was Miller. So, Pennsylvania has some seriously nice parks. Everything's really well taken care of. For more than 10,000 years, Flint Ridge was one of the most important flint quarries in eastern North America. So I came north into Ohio because I know of a spot here called Nether's Farm that has flint. It's Flint Ridge. It's a modern quarry, so you could go there, you could collect flint. I decided I wanted to visit the ancient quarry, which is in Flint Ridge State Park, where you can't touch anything there, don't touch anything there. I'm going to go check out the ancient quarries, and I'm about 2 minutes away, and then I'm going to head over to Nether's Farm to collect myself some Flint Ridge. So I've never been to the ancient quarry before. I don't even know which way it is, but there's a sign here. For more than 10,000 years, Flint Ridge was one of the most important flint quarries in eastern North America. The flint formed at the bottom of a shallow ocean 300 million years ago. The softer rocks surrounding the flint have washed away, leaving the hard flint exposed near the surface. Prehistoric people came here to quarry the flint, which they crafted into a variety of stone tools. Hundreds of quarry pits and workshops are scattered for miles along this ridge. Well, it looks like there's a trail over there to the museum. I'll check that out first. There's a little chipmunk in the path down to the quarry trails. There's another one right there.
There's a third one. Oh.
So here is what the flint looks like. This is right below the sign here. Flint is both hard and brittle and thus can be broken into pieces that have razor-sharp edges. For this reason, Indians as long as 9,000 years ago traveled to this ridge to secure the rock for making projectile points, knives, and scrapers. The area is now covered with hundreds of shallow pits from which flint has been quarried through the ages. The prehistoric Indians broke off chunks of flint with stone mauls or pried them out of the pit with wooden poles. They broke the chunks into usable pieces with hammerstones, as shown here, and then proceeded to chip the flint for various purposes. So along here, all these dips are quarry pits. We'll keep looking around. There's a little bit of flint right here. Probably from in there. Really cool. So we came up this trail here to this hill. And right here is some different kinds of flint. Different colors. And here is where the quarry pit is, where all these leaves are. You can't really see. Maybe if I put it down to the ground, you could see that it dips. You could tell this is not just a random dip in the woods here. That's dug out. And it's pretty big. It's hard to tell on film how big that is. Here's one. There's one over there. Here is probably another one. This one's filled with muck. Anybody watching my videos, you should never disturb an archaeological site. You should find other ways of getting flint, like I'm going to a modern quarry not too far from here called Nether's Farm, and I could very easily get flint there. Whenever you see stuff like this, do not touch it.
Just appreciate it.
Just look at it and learn from it and appreciate it. It's everywhere. You could see all the little chips. Little tiny chips of flint. Very, very cool. There's all these deep dug out areas. They're right next to each other. There's one here, then it goes up into a ramp and into an even deeper one. I don't see any flint chips here. Oh, there's a few down here. A few little chunks. Must have taken a long time to dig that out like that. It's kind of just like they were digging like a swimming pool. So this is one of the bigger ones I've seen here. And just like modern quarries, they fill with water. This one is filled. So now it's pond. Looks like there's more way off that way, but there's no trail over there. How did they know it was here? Like, walking through here, if I was just walking through, I wouldn't know that there was flint under the ground. Like, right under the ground. And like, are we near a major water source or an even bigger hill? I don't understand how they found this stuff in the ground. I could understand finding it in rivers, but then how do you figure out where it is in the ground? The stuff here is so old. The stuff just laying here. If you look, on one side you can see it's rotting. The rock itself, this at one time was shiny and glossy, and now it's turning brittle and rotting away. There's more right here. It's just rotting into nothing. But it's so old. Thousands of years old.
So what do you think of this place?
It's old.
There's more pits ahead of us.
Yep. Getting bit. Mosquitoes.
Yeah. There's another pit. Oh, I can't really see it too well.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick up pits. Maybe I'll go stand by it.
Yeah, they're big.
So there's a few chips here that still have the real shine to it. Glossy glass-like. Now these are artifacts, so you don't touch these, but I just wanted to show you, like, you could see through that. And in comparison to something older and rotting, this is what it looks like now. So right here is looks like fresher stuff. It's way more colorful. This piece here, you'd see the pinks and the white, brown and white, and it's all scattered through here. So I guess to answer my earlier question of how did they find it up here, just walking down the trail here, and I see this shine. If you dug this out, this would be a massive boulder, but you crack that open inside and it'll be nice and smooth. Another big outcrop right here. This is all just amazing to me. This is just washing out. And each one of these was made by a person. Like, you cannot make these without knocking them off with another rock. You have to be, in order to make these flakes, every single one was made by a person. So that was really cool to see. There was a lot coming out, just washing down the hill. And from what I've read, it's the same rock formation that's over at Nether's farm. So I'm going to head over to Nether's farm and I'm going to collect some flint. So we're coming up on Nether's farm. I know of a spot here called Nether's Farm that has flint. It's Flint Ridge. It's a modern quarry, so you could go there, you could collect flint, and it's a $5 collecting fee plus 50 cents per pound. She has a little scale set out, a little cat that's out there usually, and you put it in an envelope, write your name, and you just slide it under her door. Bring buckets. Stuff's good. So we're coming up on Nether's farm, and the pull-off to the quarry is on the left. Careful driving on the Flint. I already popped my tire once this trip. Believe it was right here.
Your destination is on the right.
So here's the pull-off for the quarry pits. So I guess that was some Flint Ridge that I found up the camp.
Oh yeah, looks the same.
Cool. I'll take this piece. And there's some crazier colors here.
Let the fun begin.
Yeah. There's a big chunk of the black over here. So you can get a video of this. This is a quarry pit.
So here's a modern quarry pit.
I could see the big rock is right down in there. Watch yourself. Now this outer stuff, see this, let's see if I can show you. See, it's black inside. Am I still bleeding?
I think it's your lip.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
I see the piece I'm after. I don't know if I'm gonna get it. So I've already knocked away this whole chunk here, and that's in my bucket. And I'm going after this piece here. It looks like a nice blue black. I don't know if I'll be able to get it. So there's a lot of crystal-y stuff down here, but this is the piece I want.
One of the cool things about the flint here is it's got, some pieces have these little druzy crystals. I don't know if you can see right there, that vein. See if I can get it to sparkle for you. There you go. And just make it out. Now if you take this and polish it in like a rock tumbler or whatnot, it'll make some really, really beautiful polished stone. All kinds of color veins going through it.
Alright, now that I'm bleeding everywhere, you could see the little crystal pockets that the rock is actually not too good for flint knapping. I'm sure I could get something out of it, but I'd rather bring home the best rock I could find here. So I'm going to move on down to the next quarry pit and wipe all this blood off of me. Ow. Flint is sharp. So here at Nether's farm, the flint is all different kinds of color. The ones I'm grabbing is mostly black. I like to work darker material. But if you look along the trail here, and even up at the other quarry pit there, some of it's clear, some of it's pink, some of it's red, some of it's zebra striped. It's all different kinds of colors. I grabbed some of the zebra striped stuff. You could see the similarities in the pit location from where we were at the ancient quarries. You could see how modern people with modern tools did the same thing ancient people with ancient tools did. Except they probably did it better. Looks like more of the black. If you look, you can see it's so similar to those swimming pool pits I was talking about. It's just straight down. And I read that this particular flint vein is 10 to 12 feet deep. So it goes down deeper. I'm going to try to find different colors and get a good variety this time. So I'll be poking around in here. So, some of the giant boulders that were here in these pits when I was here last year are completely gone. So somebody, you could see there was one right there, it's just rubble now. Somebody came in and tried their best to get slabs. Like this. This is what people are after. This one was thrown away, and I could see why it was thrown away. Because of this crack running through. And this one running this way. So probably the only part of this you could use is right here. That's why.
Is that crystals?
Although I'm sure Leah will want this.
Hold on, hold it still. Oh, it is all crystal. Cool. Oh, you can see inside.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
I'm gonna knock some of it away so you could keep it.
Okay.
So over time, flint stops looking like flint. Even this one, you could see it's a dull, not as shiny black as, say, this. And then as it gets older and older, it starts to change, and it starts to get freeze damaged from the cold. And what happens when you have that is inside becomes all damaged and you can't use it. this will not make a good tool. So that's why a lot of people have tossed this stuff, and that's why ancient people tossed this stuff, because the top layer has freeze damage on it. If you look over here, fresh rock deeper down. So if I knock this piece off, it's going to be really fresh and really glossy. But if I take from up there, it's going to be really dull and not so good. I'll give you an example of right here. I'll see if I can knock a piece off. Just going to try to take a small piece off for you to see. I don't want to ruin this outcrop. Here's freeze damage at the top of it.
Okay.
I'll give you a little zoom in. I just knocked some of the black off, and in here is freeze damage, or they call it a seam or a crack or whatever you want to call it. Most places that you can get flint is not like this. This is an insane amount of good flint, good chert. The landowner is kind enough to let flint knappers come on her property and quarry this themselves and just dig these pits. This was somebody's throwaway because of the crystal pocket that went straight through. But I'll still be able to use this, so I'm going to keep this one. I just took this flake off. You can keep looking around. That's it. There was another one, wasn't there? They filled it in?
Oh, they did?
And they dug one next to it.
Huh.
So this is the gray stuff. Gray blocky stuff. I think it would be cool to find a good piece of this to work into something. The problem with this stuff is it's blocky. You can see there's blocks. Instead of a smooth transition, it chunks off. There's a good example. And somebody lost their belt. Are they trying to haul the whole rock out of the belt? this piece. That's freeze damaged. That's weathered. You could see how crystally and grainy that is compared to the smoothness of some of this stuff. Let's give it a try anyway. Yeah, that's no good. Makes sparks. So this is the pit here. The rock is gone. But it looked like this, and some people from the Wooded Beardsman's channel might recognize this material from his Easter egg knife giveaway. But there's not much left of this rock. So when the rock is gone, the rock is gone. That's it. It's nothing big enough for a knife of that size out of that material again.
It's all freeze damage?
Yeah.
Blocky?
Yeah. The big block of it was right there. It's gone. Remember I just took the hammer stone actually, and I hit the top and the big blade came off?
Yep.
That was the knife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So. Looks like the only pit with new rock in it is the one right at the entrance. Alright, I'm just gonna keep testing rock and hitting on it until I find something smooth, not like this one. And I'll let you see what we finish up with when we're on our way out of here. I didn't get all too much and it got kind of late, but what I did get was pretty good. And I'm just gonna bring it up to her porch, and she has a scale up there, and I'll just sign my name and pass the money under the door. I'm gonna come back probably in a day or two and quarry some more.